Hey everyone, welcome to the Sackhoff Show. I am your host, Katee Sackhoff. Happy Tuesday and welcome everyone. I want to thank you for showing up, whether you're here on YouTube or listening in your car, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much. Remember to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Before we get into this guest, I want to actually address something very quickly. People have been getting fake emails asking them to come on my show and that I'll pay you $3,000. Number one, they're fake. Number two, we don't have the money to pay anyone $3,000 to come on our show. So that's your first red flag. If you get an email from someone on my team saying they'll pay you to come on my show, it's fake. We can't pay you. We don't make any money over here. But just look out for that, you guys. I'm actually reaching out to all of my guests personally. So that's how I'm booking everyone. So the email that people have been getting is actually katiesackhoffpodcasts@gmail.com. So this is just a new phishing scam. I apologize if this has affected you. Just don't respond to anything. Okay, into the episode. You guys, I am really excited about this episode. This was the first episode that I've done that was actually like arranged through the studio because they're promoting something. And what are they promoting? Something that I'm promoting. This week's episode is with my friend, Titus Welliver. Titus and I did Watchmen together, which is out now on DVD and 4K, and then part 2 comes out later. He played Rorschach. I'll get it. Rorschach. I'll get it by the end. And I play Silk Spectre. We also work together on The Mandalorian. You will know him from Bosch and Deadwood and Lost. He is absolutely amazing. He is such a phenomenal actor, and he is just a really, really genuinely awesome person. So I'm excited for you to get to know Titus a little bit better. Remember to stick around for the hindsight, where I drag my producer, Jeff, down with me, and we will also figure out how to say Rorschach. But I'm going to get out of your way and stop making mistakes with my mouth. And without further ado, my guest, Titus Welliver.
Okay.
There you are.
Ta-da. Hey.
You got it. Hi.
How you doing?
I'm so good. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh my God. Thank you for doing this.
My pleasure.
I told my husband like right before, because I'm so tech like illiterate. He's got to do everything for me. And I was setting it up. He's like, have fun. And I was like, I am so nervous for this. He was like, why are you nervous? And I was like, well, because Titus intimidates the shit out of me.
Oh, come on. You put a gun in my face.
That's true. Well, yeah. I find myself like, I know that what we do as actors is like pretend to be these people. But for you're so good at it that I feel I intimidated because you're so talented, but also like you play characters that are super, super, super tough.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I feel it's the same thing people always say to me. Like, I feel like you're going to punch me in the face. And I'm like, well, that's not me. And so I feel even stupid saying it to you, but like, I feel like you're going to punch me in the face.
No, I swear I won't. Now I have to ask you, were you pregnant when we did Mandalorian?
So, technically, yes. I didn't carry both of my children.
Okay.
We had to, we ended up, my husband and I had to use a medical surrogate. And so technically, yes, we were pregnant, but our daughter was born like right after we worked together. Well, we worked together in season 2, right? We were sort of like barely pregnant, sort of like a hope and a prayer at that point. You have 3 kids, right?
Well, yeah, I have 3 of my own and then 3 stepkids. So we have 6 kids, but they're all out of the house. The last one, my baby girl, is headed to college this week. So they're all up and out. So then we get to deal with that.
How is that?
You know what? I think it'll be okay for, about a month. But they're also, so 3 of our kids are here. So we'll see them. But my youngest daughter, my middle son, and my eldest stepdaughter are in New York. But my wife and I got a place in New York about a year and a half ago and gutted it. My wife redesigned it and sort of in preparation for this. So, it's a little pied a terre, but it's perfect for us to go back and forth and see them. And, God willing, on Amazon, we'll be going back to Bosch in January. So
yeah, I was going to ask you about that actually. So Harry Bosch has been a part of your life now for 15 years?
10 years. Coming up
That's
on
crazy.
11 if we get to go again. Yeah, and now they've spun off a new show with Maggie Q, Ballard.
Yeah.
Which is exciting. So we introduced her in the 10th episode of this season we just completed, and I'm going to go and shoot with Maggie on her show Thursday and Friday of this week. So I'll kind of go and do. Sorry, I'm keep dabbing myself. My air conditioner is out, and I live on the top of Topanga, so I'm in a sauna.
You're in a yeah. We no worries. We had the air conditioning go out at our place here in Portland when it was like 98 degrees.
Oh, no.
And all our bedrooms are upstairs and both of our kids were up there. And I was like, I don't know how we're going to sleep. This is insane. It's so hot.
What'd you guys do?
We opened all the windows, put fans like right on the kids and put them to bed in like as little clothing as they would sleep in.
Yeah.
And they seemed okay. I think I was probably the hottest because I'm like perimenopausal, and I was like, why am I flat-footing in the middle of the night? This is awful.
That's so I haven't been there, but I've been there with my wife, and I know how that goes. It's just
God,
horribly uncomfortable.
It is. And we did so many egg retrievals to have our babies that I'm going through it much earlier than I would have normally.
Yeah.
And so, it's, the thick of it. It's super fun.
Oh, I'm sorry. It too shall pass.
This is what my mother-in-law says to me. What made you go back to Bosch? I mean, this is a character that how did the character originally come to you? Were you a fan of the books? Like how did that, walk me through that?
Well, I had read one of the books a million years before I ever got the script. And I got sent the script. I read it in, minutes flat. I couldn't, it was a real page turner. And I thought this character is perfect for me. I know exactly who this guy is, but I knew that they were going to play the big Hollywood name game. So I didn't, because after doing this for a while, you have enough sense to be able to have, to do your work, but to be able to have enough detachment that it doesn't, completely blow your mind if it doesn't happen. Right. And in the interim, I was cast in one of the Transformers films, and I was kind of traveling all over the place for 6 months. And through a series of mishaps, I kept missing the meetings. One time I lost my phone. I was on the train. I had to get off the train. Anyway, long and short of it, I got a call months later from my manager, and he said, you're back from Hong Kong for a couple of days, and Michael Connelly and the producers are in LA. So you're going to have the meeting. And I thought, I said, have they not cast that? And he said, no, they're actually literally considering kind of shutting it all down and regrouping because they haven't found Bosch, and Michael Connelly has approval, and he hasn't met Bosch yet. So I went in still, very, very trepidatious. And we met and had the meeting and did all that. And it was about 10 minutes after the meeting, I was driving down Sunset and my phone rang, and it was my manager. And I was like, hey, and he went, is this Detective Harry Bosch? And I went, huh? He said, yeah, I'm talking to Harry Bosch. And I said, what are you talking about? And he went, you got it. And I went, wait, almost crashed my car. I pulled over to the side of the street screaming like, I'd just gotten my, the most cookie sales in the Girl Scouts. And I just was beside myself. But the thing that has maintained my interest in this character is that it's a deeply nuanced and complex character. And despite the fact that through the series of books, he doesn't necessarily evolve all that much emotionally, there's a real journey there with the character. And so he sort of evolves within the circumstances in which he finds himself. And we have an amazing group of writers, and Michael Connelly has been there throughout writing. He and I have written scripts together. They assembled a really, really strong cast. And it may sound cliche, but I go to work with a smile on my face every day because I know that what I'm going to get to do is work that I'm proud of. I get to work with these great people, and the fan base, which came initially from the books. And, he sells a gazillion copies. They're hugely popular.
Yeah.
Which of course is the $1 million question. When you take on a character like that, is there any apprehension about that? And to be honest, because I'm a reader and I do that, I have that same kind of prejudice. If I read a book, I always go into that place in my head. Well, if I was going to cast this, as a film, who would I, and then sometimes you see the person, you go, that's spot on, and then, or they're not. But I just kind of went straight ahead, and we didn't really change anything. We had to change the time period because in the books he's a Vietnam veteran and he's now in his 70s. So we moved it ahead and had his military service in having joined the military when he was 18, served in the first Gulf War, and then after 9/11 he re-enlists and goes back while he's active in the police force, which a lot of cops did. Because I felt strongly about maintaining that, which is at the core of who he is he's an SF guy, and so that's a long-winded answer. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I find it so intriguing. What was it about him? You said that you immediately understood him as a character. What was it about him that you understood so clearly that you felt you could portray him right off the bat?
Well, I have a lot of trauma and loss in my background, in my life. I lost 3 siblings. My late wife, Beth, passed away from cancer. And there's a lot of that exists within Harry, and it's very subterranean. He's a guy. The difference is that, I found a good talking doctor to try my best to sort of work through it, where he's a barrier, but I understood that aspect of carrying all of that pain. He lost his mother when he was a little boy, and he grew up in the foster care system, which at that time was, somewhat, horrible. Not all cases, but he was in the McLaren Boys Home, which has, has a reputation of being draconian. Right. But also he's a quintessential anti-hero. And I think, any character that's kind of somewhere in the middle. He has a flawless moral compass. He would never, beat a confession out of someone or plant evidence on someone to get an arrest. He'll work around things within the system, and then there's the relationship that he has with his daughter, which really became pushed more to the front when we cast Madison Lintz. She's grown up on our show. She was 13 when she first came on.
She was on the original Bosch, and now she's on Legacy.
Yeah, and that relationship that we created is very, very heavily protected by me, and I sort of created a bubble around us because I felt that it was important to protect that, so she was not pushed into doing anything that was cliche or contrived. Too often we see those relationships, and this is a very complex relationship, and so that really informed a lot of. That was the only way to really get into Harry's emotional world. That's when he's vulnerable, is with his kid, and so we were able to kind of bring out some of that stuff that he would never talk about with anyone else. And it's just made for some really interesting stuff to do.
Do you actually take the loss and the trauma from your own life and use that? Or do you find that it's too painful?
Yeah, I can't do that. I learned very early on in an acting class. There was an exercise that was being done, and it was this young woman, and she had sustained this horrible, horrible tragedy. She was the only survivor in an automobile accident, in which her mother and her sister were both killed.
Oh my God.
And so she's telling this, and of course, it's incredibly painful and emotional. And then the teacher said, "Now do your monologue." And of course, she couldn't even speak.
No.
And I flipped out. I completely flipped out. And I said, stop. What are you doing? First of all, I don't see a sheepskin on the wall that says that you're a psychoanalyst, or you have any kind of credentials to be able to navigate this with this child, first and foremost. And I just found that to do that was not, it wasn't acting. It was just reopening up trauma, and it was not helpful, and it wasn't acting for me. And so, I have a pretty good imagination, and can, Mamet said a great thing one time. He said, if the playwright's done his job, then you don't have to work so hard at it. And I'm a big believer in that. And look, it's difficult. If you're on stage and you get to that seminal moment in the play, and it's something really heavy, you have to be able to bring that there. And I can't imagine reliving some trauma on stage to have a complete and utter emotional breakdown.
Yeah. It's why I never studied. When I first moved to California, everyone made such a big deal out of the fact that I hadn't studied. And I was like an 18-year-old kid. I came straight from high school. And I watched this teacher break students down to then build them back up in his image or something, or what he thought. And in that moment, and I think I probably went to a couple I don't remember, it's so long ago, but I remember thinking to myself, if this is acting, I'm just going to pretend. Yeah. I'm going to pretend and fake it, because this is insane. These children, like you said, were becoming shells of themselves, and then being built back up by somebody who, like you said, doesn't have the credentials. And I never studied again. I never went back. I was like, this is not okay.
I completely understand you. And I think there's also a lot to be said, because despite the fact that I had great training and wonderful teachers, I then spent another 10 years after finishing conservatory trying to sort of unlearn some of that stuff to a certain degree, because I found that I had gotten so technical that, my ability to kind of be present or, organic in a scene had been taken away, because I was so in my head in an almost academic sense. So, and my kids are actors, and, and I've said to them, and they all study, but they're not in a scenario in which it's, sleep, eat, and breathe. There has to be a happy balance somewhere in between, because I think it's very, very dangerous. And also, it takes on sometimes these sort of odd, almost cultish relationships. And I think that people can become really dependent on these teachers. Now, some people need that, and I understand that. So I'm not shit canning it and saying that it makes someone a lesser artist if that's how everyone has their own process. And my process was kind of, I call it the Bruce Lee process of acting. I mean, I just sort of studied a lot of different techniques and then sort of cobbled together my own thing, and then sort of forgot it. And it's, it served me pretty well.
What is your technique, if you don't mind me asking? Can you quantify it?
I guess to a certain degree, it's really about something that I learned. Well, I studied with Mamet when I was at NYU, and the thing that I learned from him, which was invaluable, was script analysis. How to take a script and completely, it's almost like doing a renovation on a building where you completely break it down to the studs, and so that you have a holistic sense of the script, the story, and every single beat, and you learn it frontwards and backwards. And when you have that knowledge, then your ability to just be present after that. I mean, the next step is to then learn the dialogue, but then it frees you up to be, so that if something happens that you're not anticipating, you can go with it. Or if you're free enough, you'll do something that, you didn't practice in the mirror the night before. And I've sent my kids to study with a man named Lee Cohn, who was one of my classmates at NYU, with Mamet. And Mamet said one day in class, and it was always, they were little leg traps, and one day he said, "Who's feeling smart?" So of course everybody raises their hand but me, because I know it's a setup for something. And he says, write a book about this technique, which they did. And it was published, and Mamet and W.H. Macy, Billy Macy, wrote the foreword to it, and they created a whole school out of it. The Atlantic Theater Company is all birthed out of that. And so my kids have been doing it one-on-one with Lee Cohn, and that's sort of my thing. At the end of the day, when I go sometimes and speak to actors, my biggest advice to them is good acting is good listening. If you're not listening, then it falls to shit. You can see it because it's taught. And then as soon as someone stops listening, it does this and it droops. And I hope that doesn't sound too obtuse.
No,
but it's, and Spencer Tracy said, a lot of it, you kind of, you learn the lines, you know what you're doing, and you try not to bump into the furniture.
Oh my God, look at us both with our LaCroix.
Breakfast of Champions.
God.
I'm just force hydrating myself.
I hope we don't find out that it's like, got something in it, because our 2.5-year-old drinks it. She loves it. She's like, "Can I have some sparkly water, please?"
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's not like Subway. Like, what do you mean there's yoga mats in this sparkling water?
I'm sure there will be. How did you get into voiceover work? I think the first was books on tape. I did a book a million years ago. I think it was in like 1998, Every Dead Thing. And then I did Robert B. Parker, who is most well known for his Spencer for Hire books. Okay.
Did a series of Westerns. It was like 3 or 4 books. And I did those. And then I started getting stuff here and there. And then when I was cast as Bosch, Connolly came to me, I want to say it was either in the first or second season, and said, would you be interested in doing the Bosch books? And I, of course, said, yeah, and did those. And then I started doing more stuff, animated stuff, did the Batman thing, and as we
which
were
we
both
did together.
I know.
I feel like I'm no longer with UTA. I was with Jason Heyman for a long time. But I feel like it's one of the things that happened for my career at UTA was like, I would just like wind up in all of like the Warner Brothers stuff. It just like made its way to me.
Yeah. I really enjoy it. I enjoy it. Did you have fun doing Watchmen?
I did. Because correct me if I'm wrong. We were like I think we recorded like during COVID.
Yeah.
Not during COVID, but like right at the tail end, because I remember still having to wear a mask in the recording area and take it off. And I had so much fun. I had so much fun playing her. Did you have fun playing Rorschach? I can't even say Roar. I have to do this every time. I have to go Rorschach.
Rorschach. It's
Rorschach.
It was the hardest one I ever did, because despite, I thought, oh, well, I can just kick into all my vocal training from way back in the day. But that voice, I couldn't support it with my diaphragm. It was all in my throat. So I could only record for about 2 hours, and then my voice was shot. And then I'd have to have a couple of days of rest and then come back and do it.
Your voice didn't have an easier time going into that gravelly when it was tired? It was like it had to be fresh?
Yeah. Because otherwise it was really, it would be inconsistent. And at a certain point, it would just be a mishmash. It was just, and I couldn't do it anymore. But when I got the call about that, I was, I said, what's the character? What's the character? Oh, he's, hold on, let me look at the thing. He wears a mask. I said, well, they all wear masks. What do you mean? Yeah, his is like, I don't know, it's got paint on it. And I went, wait, is it Rorschach? Yeah, that's it. And I went crazy because, and my thing, because I'm a comic book guy, when I met with him with the first day of work, I said, please tell me, that you're going to stay faithful. And they went, no. It's a completely faithful rendering of this. It's the panels come to life. And when they started showing me some of the stuff as they were assembling it, I was blown away. I mean, I'm so geeked out to see it because I'm the target audience. No, just look, when I was going in and doing some pickups and things here and there, they would say, you want to see a little bit of what we've got? And, thankfully they did the mixture of cell animation with the CG. So it doesn't look like, CG. I thought it was really, really, I think it's going to be great. And I know the fans out there are losing their minds.
Yeah, I watched it last night.
Did you?
Part 1. So cool. It's so cool. You're so good.
Well, I'm excited to see it.
So you were a fan because you said you were a collector. Did you read graphic novels? Like, is that something like you've read the book and you were a fan of it beforehand, obviously? Yeah.
I as a kid, I grew up collecting and reading comic books. And then towards the late 70s, I kind of dropped off. And I don't know that it was necessarily an age thing. I was just more interested in other things. And I kind of trailed off. And then in the early 80s, Frank Miller came out with The Dark Knight Returns. Mm-hmm. And I was really out of touch at that point. And a friend of mine gave the book to me and I read it and I went, this is insane. I mean, I can't believe this. And then he gave me Watchmen and it was a complete game changer. I mean, I always thought that Marvel and DC in their own way in the 60s, excuse me, in the 70s could take on more adult themes like drug addiction and stuff and racism and things like that, but they couldn't delve as deep as these guys were able to do. So I just thought, wow, this is, and all of a sudden they were no longer stigmatized as being, comic books. All of a sudden, it was dignified with the title, graphic novel.
No, you couldn't call them comic books. You got to call them graphic novels or books.
Yeah, no, because people, purists get pissed off.
It's a very, very different thing. I remember seeing like my first graphic novel and being like in complete shock as to like not understanding what this was. Because I was like, oh yeah, comic book, of course. And then you look at it and you're like, this is, wait, what is happening? What is this?
No. Well, I mean, and having 2 boys when they were little, and I had a collection of stuff, and they would kind of go in and dig around, and I remember they found one of the Deadpool comics when they were, and they were like, Dad, this comic book is really great. There's all this swearing, and I was like, whoa, no, 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 guys, that's not Superboy. That, I was like, shit, it was so rough. I was recording a new Bosch book the other day, and the producer and engineer, I was talking about the new Deadpool movie, and he said, "Oh, my son has been begging me to take him to see it." And I said, "Oh, it's great. How old is your son?" He said, "He's 9." And I went, "No,
No.
absolutely." I said, "Look, I don't. This is just me. I'm not telling you how to raise your kid." But I started telling him some of the stuff, and he went, "Oh yeah, it's a definite. That's a hard no." And I went,
Yeah.
"Yeah,
No.
definitely not. No, no,
That's
no."
a hard no. Our daughter, we used to go into my husband because she's obsessed with books. Our daughter is just this intellectual little child, 2.5, but she goes in, she pulls books off the shelf, and a lot of them would be my husband's graphic novels, and she'll pull them out, and she just will be like, "Mommy, is bright red." And you're like, "Yeah, that's blood. That's blood. That is a head that has been blown off a body. We should probably put this away. We should probably." She's
Yeah, and she'll
this is not.
figure out how to navigate and climb up those shelves. They always find a way.
Oh
They,
my God. And like the one thing they're like not supposed to like get to, they always get to. And that's
well, it's like toy guns. I realized because I grew up in the 60s, and so, toy guns were we played army all the time. That's what
all
we
the
did.
time.
And I noticed that I had younger brothers, and then when my sons came along, everything was turned into a gun. They would make a gun out of Lego, and it was a blaster, or it was so. I sort of got to the point where I thought, rather than making these things so taboo, if I kind of teach them with a perspective as if it's a real firearm, to have that respect. So they knew from a very early age when they played with toy guns, they never pointed them at anybody. I had a very specific set of rules, but as they got older, the toy guns that were all orange and everything were being spray painted black and things like that. And of course, we were up in the country in northwestern Connecticut, so nobody was it wasn't gonna create an incident or anything. But I just remember, and my daughter was always trying to keep up with them, and she wasn't interested in guns. But I was sitting, in my dining room, and the windows were all open, and I saw my sons going by, and they have balaclavas on, and they have their weapons, and they're moving like this. And all of a sudden, I hear this little voice, guys, slow down, slow down. And they go, "What, Cora? What is it?" She goes, "I need a bigger gun." And I went, "Oh, Jesus. Well, okay." That kind of blew up in my face, but
I was the same way. Like everything when I was a kid, we loved playing cops and robbers. We loved playing my brother and I would pretend that his bunk beds were like train cars, and we were like robbers. And everything had guns to it. Yeah. And it just, we had air pump guns that we were given when we were young. And it finally got taken away when we were in a huge fight. And he slid it under. I had run into the closet and slammed the door. And because every once in a while, I was still smaller than my brother, and we'd be playing these games and I'd get hurt, and then I would just get angry, and then it would turn into a fight. So I'm hiding in the closet, and he slides the air pump gun under the door, and he shoots me in the foot.
Oh no. Oh no.
And it was awful. And then I run out of there with I think the wiffle ball bat. And I'm like, it was bad. It was probably I think my parents got a phone call and they were like, "So Katee is chasing Eric down the street, and I believe she has a butcher knife, but a real one."
I grew up in a Martin Scorsese picture.
It's true.
We
were crazy. We were nuts.
It sounds like my household. It was 5 boys. We were all Irish psychopaths. My parents were constantly taking us to the ER for stitches or broken arms. It was just insane. But you know what? We all, it's the big joke now where you see these memes where they go, "Yeah, we used to drink out of the hose, and we used to do this." And it was kind of true. my
We
father used
did.
to open the door and say, "Don't come back unless you're hungry. You have to go to the bathroom." And we spent, we were outside all day long. Thank God there weren't cell phones and things back then,
I
because
know.
we would have, as
We did.
being a parent,
Yeah.
well, we probably wouldn't have done it. It would all
Yeah.
been, living that experience through playing it on a game or something like that. And that's a whole other show, which we'll have
Yeah,
to
of
do at
course.
some point.
I remember though when my brother, because we grew up in a small town and we were very similar, like outside playing constantly. I remember when my brother, like when we got the Nintendo, and we had a certain amount of time on it, and we weren't allowed to do, the games for too long and blah blah blah. But I remember when like video games started taking over my brother's life.
Yeah.
And like, he never wanted to do anything anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and granted, that was a different aspect of something it is what it is. Every, parent gets to raise their kids the way they want to. But like, I remember distinctly, like my brother not playing outside as much anymore. And my brother being more of an introvert and, excuse me, until he got to high school. And then, he always had friends and he always like did stuff outside and he always played, but he always stayed up too late playing video games and then not getting to school on time.
Yeah.
Like it really changed his life.
No, it's a straight up syndrome. No matter what, nobody can argue against that, because it's just it's the simple truth and tragedy in its own way, right? There's a lot to be said about too much information, too much stimulation. We did not watch a lot of television in our household when I was a kid. My parents gave us, we were readers. We were just reading all the time, and we read comic books too. So we had a really sort of happy balance of all those things. I mean, video games. I think Asteroids. I was probably like a junior in high school when Pong came along, and that was fun for Christmas Day. And then I was bored out of my. I was like, God, this is stupid.
Yeah.
And then I got into video games, but I was a bit older, so I think, and I was doing other stuff. So
you already doing other stuff.
It didn't get a hold of me in the same way, but it's, it's the whole thing now, when the kids are home, it's, it's this. And I literally just go, no phones at the dinner table or anything like that. I mean, they're pretty good about that. But the rest of the time, it's it's a lot of that kind of crap. And,
they're so addictive. Our 2-year-old, we have to go to the hospital with her quite a bit, and that's when she gets the iPad and she plays like games. Like she learns on the iPad, and like we try to keep it to educational games, but of course she's got like coloring princess shit and that's where she gets the iPad, is at the hospital. And whenever we have to leave the hospital, she cries. And gets so upset. And people are always like, why is your child so excited to go to the hospital? Like she literally has to get her blood drawn. And she's like, I'm fine, take it. She's playing games. She's like, she's so, and I'm like, because she doesn't get it any other time. This is it. Like the hospital is her like game time. And she's obsessed. She's so obsessed. Like it's crazy. She wants to go to the hospital every day. When we ask her, what do you want to do? She's like, I want to go to the hospital today. We're like, oh my God.
No. And my youngest child, my daughter Cora, who's now 18, she went through the Waldorf system, and they're very.
Oh, I'm so curious about the Waldorf system.
Anti-screen. It was really good for early childhood development. As they get older, and their approach to things like reading and stuff. I were in direct opposition as to my beliefs in, teaching kids to read. And so I had to depart from that. But in the beginning, it was great. It really taught my daughter to be a good steward of the earth and be mindful. And she's an empath, so it really worked very directly with who she was at her core. But she didn't even get a phone until she was about, I want to say 13. And even then I saw that change happen within less than a month. And I was so upset and so regretful. But it's Pandora's box.
Yeah.
and it sucks. But no, I mean, I would see her violent reaction, particularly when she would be
Yes.
punished, and I would say, "I'm taking your phone away." You would think that I was saying, "Go to your room, and you're not going to eat for the rest of the week, and no water, no,
Yeah.
you know." I
Well,
mean,
think about what happens when you lose your phone or I lose my phone or I think that I can't find it. I go crazy because
yeah,
that's my life is in that thing. And I'm, so I can't imagine, as a child having it taken away because it's like, they don't have the emotional ability to actually understand it,
I know,
Those are
I know.
adult emotions.
Yeah, it's not good, but and I don't know. And then you watch these documentaries, where they talk about, I don't know if it was TikTok, but it was one of those things where
Oh,
basically
yeah.
the people that created one of these that were the engineers on a specific app, I can't remember, where they all said in interviews, I sold my soul to the devil. I wish to God I never had done that. And
Well, yeah. I mean, they've done those exposés and the interviews with people that created it, knowing that they were creating something addictive.
yeah, yeah,
It's no different than cigarette companies knowing that cigarettes killed and continuing to push it. It just is, it is what it is. It's, sadly, but it's our job, like with us, it's the, doing the best that we can do to protect her from everything outside of our house and
yeah.
knowing that we can't protect her from everything and just trying to instill, whatever we can in her right now and prepare her to leave us.
That they love, because my kids, despite all that distraction, I read to them every night before they went to bed. And so they do read, thankfully. I mean, sometimes it's a bit, when I give them a book at Christmas. Oh, cool, thanks. And
Thanks,
then
Dad.
I check back, a month later. So have you read that? And I try to tailor it to their entry. I'm like, oh, here's Dave Grohl's book. I know they'll read that.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten around to it yet. But
What do you have, like a book that I mean, other than Bosch, obviously, but do you have a book that changed your life, or a book that still is with you, it's in you, or multiples?
Multiples, but Slaughterhouse-Five,
Mm.
and To Kill a Mockingbird were, and so I read them. I probably read both those books a couple times a year. I read Slaughterhouse-Five when I was around 13, and I don't know. There's just something about that book. And then I became obsessed with Vonnegut. And
I was going to say that's Vonnegut. Yeah.
but I had parents who were, huge readers, and would give me books that were, as my mother used to say, a huckleberry above my persimmon. They were definitely out of my intellectual range.
A huckleberry above my persimmon.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and my mother came from Philadelphia. She's not from the deep South or something, but it was just a crazy expression. But as a kid, those books could be really laborious, painful to a certain degree. But when I would look back later, and as I got older, I really appreciated the fact that I had a steady diet of books like that. But To Kill a Mockingbird, I've read a million times, and I still cry when I read that book.
It is such a wonderful book.
And then to make such a perfect film of it as well. Yeah. It's one of my favorite films.
Oh, God. The courtroom scenes in that?
I have, which is the line from Slaughterhouse, So It Goes. I have it tattooed on because it's words that I live by, right? So it goes. But do you have a book? Let me throw one back at you. Do you have a book that you have gifted to people, some like similar in that way, but a book that you have felt compelled to give to people?
No. So here's the thing: is that I was not a big reader. I was not a big reader when I was a kid. I remember loving books when I could read, because we didn't really have a TV. So I read a lot as a kid, like, but they were kid books. They were, The Babysitter's Club, which I was obsessed with, and they were Nancy Drew, and like, but then I got older and I started working as an actor when I was like 17, and I feel my brain just didn't have space for more books. It was something that really I just didn't do. There was a book I read when I was a child called Dead Bird Singing, and I've gone back and read it as an adult. And as an adult, it's nothing to write home about. But as a child, I was reading this book and I was sobbing. And it was one of the hardest books to read as a kid, and it changed my life because I just couldn't put it down. But the story of it, I took that book, the crying, and I went into the bathroom like right afterwards. And I was like 12 years old, went into the bathroom and crying from reading the book. I started acting like the young boy in the book.
There you go.
And talking about the loss of his parents, and talking about, I became him and started acting out scenes that were not in the book in the mirror. And that was like when I realized I wanted to be an actor. As an adult, though, my husband is incredibly well-read, as are his family. Books are a huge part of their lives. They go to the library all the time. It's ingrained in them. My husband reads books at night. He's got a little light. He won't go to, sometimes in the morning, he's been awake all night reading. He can't put them down. My daughter is the same as him. Books are huge. And so we now have this Christmas thing where every year we do Secret Santa, and you got to buy a book for a person. And the book I got last year was Liz Cheney's book. And my mother-in-law got it for me, and I couldn't put it down. I loved it. I found it so incredible. And, but it's like sort of my style of book, which is just, that's a long-winded answer to that. But it's really, I don't know. It's just, I'm getting into it more as I get older now, because it's around me more. And I want our kids to read, and I want to sort of continue to sort of encourage that in our daughter, because her verbal skills are so much higher than most children her age. She talks like she's 5. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the beauties when a child really, and that I had that same experience. I learned to read at a very early age, and once that whole sense of pride and ownership that I had, that I could read, and that independence, my parents still read to me every night, but I couldn't get enough books. Once that was opened up for me, I was obsessed with reading. Yeah. And so that's a great thing that your daughter is connecting with that, because there will always be those distractions. But the fact that she's able to maintain that it's in her to do that is, because I can't, I'll listen to books on tape, but not books that I would necessarily want to read, because I enjoy reading so much. Are
you tactile? Do you still have the book?
Oh my God. I mean,
me too.
I'll have you up to my house when you're in LA the next time, and you'll laugh, because it literally, both of our homes here and in Connecticut, I mean, they are just piled with books, thousands and thousands. I mean, I have all of my books from my childhood. I have them that I then read to my children, and they have them in there. Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit, you can say I'm a book hoarder. I mean,
so is my husband. Okay, we've had built-ins all over our house, built into different rooms, because there are so many books. There's so many books, and it's like library upon library. Our daughter has them in her room now. It's crazy. There's so many books in this house. Yeah.
But you experience those things, and you go back and reread them all the time. I do that so often, or someone will, I'll get into a conversation somebody's at my house. Oh, did you ever read this? And I'll go, oh, wait, I've got a copy of it. And then I'll lend a book to someone.
I love it.
Yeah, it's ongoing.
I hope that I get the chance to come up and visit your house. I love Topanga. I love it. I miss the desert heat of Topanga.
Not today, you wouldn't, but it's it cracked like 105 the other day, and I just went, oh no, there was no place to go, no place to go.
And of course, you have to sit and do press for the next 2 hours. You're going to be so hot.
Yeah, that's okay. It's actually right now, knock wood, I've got windows open and I'm actually getting a breeze. It's channeling through. So whereas before I looked like, I was being interrogated by the cops with a heavy lamp on my face.
Well, we only have 5 minutes left, and I know we both have to jump on to something else, but I do this thing where I have a deck of cards and I pull from the deck of cards, and it's one more question. So it's just one more question. I'm going to pull from the deck, and I'll hope it's a quick answer. And this looks like a good card. Okay. Oh, what relics from past eras still exist but shouldn't? That's a tough one.
Yeah, atomic bombs. Although
there you
they're
go.
Not really. I mean, let's just say weapons in general, if they had never come to be, but what can we do?
You go.
And I say that as a gun owner and someone who trains with weapons, and and I used to hunt when I was a kid. But
you're preaching to the choir. We have weapons in our home, but they're locked up, and we know how to use them.
Yeah.
And I grew up with guns.
Yeah. Did you grow up in Canada? Are you Canadian?
No, I'm from Oregon, so I might as well be. From outside of Portland. My husband's Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? I probably, because you shot Battlestar in Canada. That's why I'm mixing it up. Yeah, I have a very, very good friend who lives in Portland.
Really?
And has lived there. He's a New Yorker, but he's lived there for a million years, and he loves it, and has no plans of ever leaving. I went there. I went up there to do. Years ago, there was a TV series called Grimm. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I did an episode of that, and I hadn't been there in years, and I loved it. Completely get why people love it there.
We moved back a year ago, so that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Yeah.
It's beautiful there.
Have fun with the rest of your press. I'm glad. I love talking to you. I could talk to you forever just about everything, but I appreciate it. It was fun.
Thank you for having me. I mean, it's great to see you again. The last time I saw you, you were physically abusing me.
Was it a knife? It was a knife, right? That I had.
Yeah.
Yes, I had the knife out of my gauntlet
to your
throat, and then you took us all down.
I bit that the little cyanide capsule, which only electrocutes himself. I just thought, yeah, that's great. But God, did I have fun? Did I have fun doing that? And how great was Bryce? I mean, she's just I love the show. And it was a dream come true for me. And the whole way that transpired was really funny, because I got a call. Actually, I made a call. I saw the first episode, and I've known Pedro forever. He and I did a series together called The Good Wife. And
I love The Good Wife, by the way. It's one of my favorite shows of all time.
And told him how much I loved the show. And he said, well, would you ever consider doing it? I said, are you out of your mind? Of course I would, in a heartbeat. And he said, well, I'll let the producers know. And then 2 days later, I get a call from my man. I'm actually getting tattooed, and my phone keeps ringing. So I finally say to the guy, let me just check. This could be my kids or something.
Yeah.
And my manager says, look, you got an offer for a thing, but it's kind of one of those weird things where you've got to talk to them, and it's kind of an NDA scenario. And I said, okay, fine. And it was Bryce, who I've known. Our kids went to school together, and Bryce is a good friend of mine. So I get on the phone with her, and she goes, yeah, it's the Mandalorian. What? She goes, yeah, would you do it? And I went, of course. I don't care who it is. Do I wear a mask or, am I a bad guy or a good guy? And she said, well, you're an imperial. I go, I'm in. And I completely lost my shit coming on and doing that. It was just so much fun. And I said to Favreau, hey man, you showed my face, so I'll come back as a Jawa. I don't care. But that was so much fun working with you. So I've been such a huge fan over the years of your work. I mean, starting with Battlestar, and it was just I was so completely geeked out. And the fact that you were a badass Mandalorian who had the temerity to take her helmet off. But you were so great, and it's just
thank you.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for having me, and I look forward to seeing you again.
I know we got to make we got to make a habit out of actually working together in person and not just voiceover work.
100%, and we'll do that.
Have an awesome day of press. I'm off to go do my new one. They're probably like, where are these two?
We'll go do it. Go do it.
All right. Have a good one.
Good to see you. You too.
You
Take
too.
care. Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Hindsight. Thank you so much for sticking with us. I really appreciate you. And so does my producer, Jeff.
Yeah.
You guys, Jeff has a fancy camera on right now because he was like, if I'm going to be on camera.
Yeah. Well, this is our first recording since we've launched video. People will have seen at least 2 episodes on video, but this is the first time you and I are recording since we have put out the video for a time and place.
Oh, right.
Jules' episode just came out in our universe.
So we can actually talk about, if we feel like it, that episode.
Yeah, I have some stuff in our comment and mail section about Jules specifically.
Awesome.
But I wanted to ask you how you felt about how the video was going.
I think it's going really well. I mean, here's Satilio. Guys, you're still not watching more than 10 minutes.
Some people are.
Some people are.
We've gotten lots of emails.
I love those people.
Yeah, we've gotten lots of emails and lots of comments, people saying they watched to the end, which we appreciate.
But the average person, like the overall average, is still 10 minutes. It has not gotten better.
Yeah.
It is still 10 minutes. So it is what it is. But what we've done, which I think was super smart, was we're putting clips now. So you got a 10-minute attention span. That's totally fine. You can watch those 3 clips. You want to know how long they are? 10 minutes. You want to know how much of our episode you just watched? 30 minutes. You do have a bigger attention span than 10 minutes. You just like it in little cookies.
Yeah, we need to release these episodes 10 minutes at a time, or just watch it 10 minutes at a time. YouTube saves your watch counter, so you can go away, come back, it'll pick up right where you left off. Yeah.
Well, we also have time codes. So you can just get through a time code, figure out where you were, and then click back onto your time code.
We did get an email that I did not include, but somebody did point out that they were thankful for the chapter markers and the time codes. So check those out. If you want to jump forward, like if you don't care about the guest and you just want to listen to the hindsight, you can jump forward.
See Jeff's pretty face.
Well, no, it's more about the enlightening questions that I ask you.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I'm happy. The reception of video has been really great. We knew that it would be. We knew that people on YouTube would be happy that video was back. And, we flew out the gate with a bang. So, it's great. We keep getting episodes like that. We're going to get sponsors, guys.
Maybe. As you pull up your cup that says what on it?
Starbucks for president.
Oh, yeah. There's your sponsor. We're starting a pack.
A super PAC for Starbucks
yeah,
and Adama.
Starbucks
I love the
Adama,
fact that she's president, he's vice president, though.
Yeah, well.
I feel like it should be the opposite.
I don't know. I think he's done enough.
You guys, I can't say Rorschach. I just said it.
You just said it. Rorschach.
Roar. So if you say roar.
Roar.
Can you say roar?
Roar.
Roar.
It's is definitely one of those
Roar.
words that the more you say it, the weirder it sounds. And roar,
I had a
roar.
tiny speech impediment when I was a kid,
Mhm,
and I couldn't pronounce R's. I sounded like I was a New Yorker,
mhm.
and everything sounded, my R's sounded like W's. Like I was just all over the place. But it was my mom, I went to speech therapy and figured out how to say R.
Mhm.
Because I would say ow, ow, I think. Wabbit. Like I would say wabbit,
Starbuck.
wobbin, stallbuck. Yeah. So my
I
mom sent
mean,
me to
it's
speech
pretty
therapy
adorable, though.
where I
It's
had to
pretty.
learn how to say R with my
Yeah.
tongue, R, which is so
R.
weird. So when I say roar, it reminds me of like speech therapy, like
Yeah.
in my therapist when I was like 8 years old trying to learn how to say roar,
Rar.
roar, roar,
Well,
roar. And then going into another word is really hard. Rorschach.
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 Yeah, it is kind of just a train wreck of a word. It's just you just tripping over everything.
It's a bit of a train wreck of a word. But Titus is super wonderful.
Yeah, so you'd worked with him on Mando, obviously, and he had the very memorable role, I looked this up, of Imperial Commander.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm sorry,
he did.
Imperial Captain was his name.
He did.
I'm sorry, Titus.
So it's when Axe, Mando, Koska, and Bo storm the bridge in the Heiress. And this is actually that moment. This is that moment we've talked about with Simon. He was meant to die in this scene. He did die in this scene. He sacrifices himself with the little bomby things and storms the bridge door to blast it open.
Mhm.
And then he's gone. So that's why he wasn't with us subsequently. But what they did was they changed it to Mando. Rightfully so. They wanted him to be the one that made that sacrifice. So yeah. So anyway, and then I get into the bridge and and I'm like, where's the saber? But anyway, I put my gauntlet up to his face and he bites a cyanide tablet and then dies. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Is it the cyanide or is it that electrical thing?
Oh, the electric thing. You're right. You're right. It's
Is
not a
it? I
cyanide
don't
thing.
know.
It's an electrical thing that makes it.
Yeah,
It's a Star Wars version of a cyanide pill.
Yeah. Anyway, he seemed like he was very excited to be in Star Wars, which I don't think we've talked to somebody yet who has said, I didn't really like being in Star Wars.
You know what's funny though? We did sort of. We talked to Joel McHale, remember? When they were
right.
like, when they
Yeah.
sent him the sides to like audition for it, and he was like, one line? No thanks.
Which they're so used to over at Lucasfilm. They give big actors one line and they're begging to do it.
You know, it's a Marvel thing. Marvel has done it quite a bit, actually, when I've auditioned for them over the years, where you get like one page and not much dialogue. And like, that is it. And you don't have context. You don't know who you're actually playing. You just sort of like wing in a prayer,
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. But he's really wonderful. And I find it really interesting that I was intimidated by him because it's the same stuff that people are intimidated by me. Like every time I'm at the gym or anytime I'm anywhere, people are like, I was so scared to say hi because I thought you would hit me in the face.
Are you a quiet type though? Like when you're out and about?
It depends on who I'm with. Like if I'm with a group of people that I'm comfortable with, I can definitely be really loud. Like I'm not one of those Americans that are on a plane that don't realize how loud they are. I can actually lower my voice quite a bit because I talk in such a low octave that I can actually be very quiet if I want to be. So like I'm not that person where you can, but if I don't give a shit if someone hears me, my voice can carry. And so if I'm with people, then I don't really worry about that. And my voice gets a bit louder. But if I'm by myself, I'm quite introverted. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I think your work precedes you and people see you as a brooding person who kicks ass a lot. So they're probably like, I don't want to talk to Katee.
It doesn't help that like it's a lot of times in the gym when I'm like lifting heavy weights and I can get pretty aggro at the gym. Like I make noise when I work out.
So
you know,
it has nothing
'cause
to
I
do with
lift
them
heavy shit.
knowing who you are. You're just grunting and screaming and lifting heavy things. And we were like, all right, I'm going to walk
I'm
around
gonna
that.
stay away from that perimenopausal crazy bitch.
Yeah, you're screaming.
Screaming. I love it. I love it. I love the fact that in that episode, though, in Titus's episode, I said I was like in the heat of perimenopause. I'm not. I'm like just starting. It's one of
Yeah.
those things like I love being over dramatic. It's one of my things. It's I was really good liar when I was a kid.
Mhm.
Not because I wanted to lie, but because I was just, I always made stories sound better. Like, I love going over the top. It makes it so much more fun to, like, why would I just want to go to school when I could go to school and, like, the fire alarm got pulled and we all had to go outside and didn't have our jackets and it was
Is that a
raining.
true
And, like, I
story?
would just, like, make stories up,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
My daughter does the same thing. It's fucking crazy. But this is one of those examples where it's like, why did I say that I was like in the heat of perimenopause when like I'm clearly not? I've just started. Like, but it's getting worse. I'm
well,
I'm having night sweats, Jeff.
It's not pleasant no matter what phase you're in, you know. I mean, I don't know a ton about it, but
do I? There's not a lot out there. There's not a lot. There's more now.
Yeah,
there's
I mean,
not a lot out there.
I've heard the phrase more and more often about it. So
Yeah.
it does feel like it is a thing that is being figured out. So
Yeah.
good luck. I don't know.
It's really strange. I think part of it, and we won't talk about menopause too much here, people, I promise. But I think part of it is that it's if you look at a person who was in like the 60s or the 50s, 60s, 70s, that was 50 years old, they looked very different than 50-year-olds today, whether that be that we're more conscientious of taking care of ourselves and sunscreen and eating better and exercising more, or if it's that we've just got more shit in our face and so we look younger. I don't know what it is, but I think that it's like not as often associated with like, you know, put the cobwebs in the vagina away because like, you know, that needs to be on a shelf.
Yeah. I think people looked older back then too, because everybody was just huffing down cigarettes like crazy, and there was lead paint everywhere, and
it's true.
You know, like
it's true. It's true. They were using
rough.
mothballs in the closet. Yeah. We've got mothballs. Okay, I have tried to get rid of these fucking moths that we have had that are eating up my cashmere sweaters. They're eating up our really expensive rugs in our house. It was a nightmare in California. So we had them all cleaned. Everything cleaned professionally, super expensive, packed it all up, had them fixed, like reweaved because they're so expensive, and then packed them all up, brought it here, and they're still in this house.
And the mothballs aren't working?
So I bought mothballs. My mother-in-law, I brought them out and like I was like, "Whoo, that is pungent.
Yeah.
That is a smell you will not
smell
soon
it
forget."
now. You're just talking about it. I can smell it.
You can smell them.
Yeah.
So I had them out, and my mother, it took a day, a whole day. God, I love this woman. But she says the next day, she goes, "Look, it's not my place. And I very rarely get into the business of like how you guys do things or like whatever." And in that point, I wanted to be like, "What other problems do you have?" I'm just kidding.
I don't speak of all the problems.
I mean, let it all out. Why don't we just get it all out here? But she goes, you have a child with cancer. And you do so much to like, and I'm paraphrasing people, you do so much to like, make sure she's healthy. And like you're putting, you're cooking bone marrow and hiding it in like homemade gummies. And you're making homemade cheese crackers because like Cheez-Its aren't good for her and goldfish. And you're doing all this shit to like make sure that like she's super healthy and like, not let poison into your house. And then you can't use mothballs. Please don't use them. Please don't use them. Just take them out of that. Please don't use them.
Oh my, are they bad? I don't.
They'll kill you, Jeff. Supposedly they will kill you. Like it's like, and it lives on your clothes. Like once it's supposedly, according to my mother-in-law, who's also super smart, by the way. Once you, and like highly educated, like she's not like a crazy person that doesn't believe in science.
Right.
Once you wear it, once it's in your clothes, you can't get it out unless you like clean them.
I guess I don't know anything about mothballs, so I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess it kills moths. It's the only thing that really kills them. But that being said,
It kills people too.
it can also kill you.
Oh, great.
Which is probably why it kills the moths.
That seems to be what anything from the 50s or 60s was like, yeah, it'll get rid of the pest, but it will also irreparably harm you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your paint on your windows is going to last forever.
Yeah.
It's lead.
Yeah. It will give your children brain damage, but
it is cooked into your windows. You have to have an abatement company come if you want your windows removed from your house at this point. But anyway, the Titus episode, now that I've talked about menopause and
I wanted to ask
Titus.
you, he mentioned that his kids are actors. Do you have any sense of how you would react if your children wanted to be actors?
I think about this a lot because, Robin and I are both artists. And part of me hopes she wants to be a dentist. But then I also, I very, very firmly believe that success and money don't breed happiness. Now, what money does provide is opportunity. I understand that. That is not lost on me. So I would love for my daughter to do something that she can actually make money doing. And that doesn't have to be a lot of money. I just want her to be comfortable and happy. But to be an artist, I don't think I would want her to be an actor. Not at all.
But what if she decided she wanted to on her own? Would you be supportive?
Yeah. I'd have to be at that point.
Yeah.
I'd have to be at that point, of course. But I don't, God, I hope she doesn't want to be. It is such a hard business.
Mm-hmm.
I said to someone the other day, they were like, what advice do you have for people that want to get in this business? And I was like, don't.
Yeah.
And that's not to say oh, look at how special I am. I made it. That's not it. The business has changed exponentially.
Yeah.
It is not the same as when I started. If it looked the way it does today, when I was trying to get into the industry, I probably wouldn't have made it.
Yeah.
It is a very, very different landscape to navigate, and I don't understand it right now. And it is changing every day because I think streamers and cable and everyone is trying to figure out what it's going to look like. And we don't know yet. But what I did say is, if you want to be an actor, you can do that. You can do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
You can do that in your house tomorrow with your phone and YouTube. But if you want to be famous, if you want to make hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars and be an actor like that, I don't have any advice for you because I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's luck.
It totally is.
So I don't know. We'll see what she wants to do. I am hopeful that she's going to be a Formula One driver.
Right.
That is my hope.
Yeah.
That's my hope.
And Granger's going to be a pro wrestler, of course, right?
Nope. Too dangerous. Formula One.
Fair.
Yeah.
Real quick before we jump on, I wanted to ask you, so on your Instagram, you posted about hiding one of your helmets.
Yes.
Do you know if anybody found it?
No, so I haven't done it yet.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted to do something super, super fun, And I thought a scavenger hunt would be really fun. I also think what would be really fun, somebody brought up local businesses. Now, this is cool. I love the idea of doing a scavenger hunt from local small businesses that I love in Portland. And each one has a different clue. And every time a person shows up, the clue doesn't disappear. They don't take the clue with them. It's everyone can get the clue. So just because you got the first clue doesn't mean you're going to get the second clue. And someone could surpass you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then maybe hide the helmet at one of my favorite places in Portland and just highlight small businesses.
That's fun. So by the time this episode comes out, though, we're probably in the second week of September right now.
Yeah.
So do you think you will have done this by then?
It by then?
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll announce it. You know
Yeah.
what? If we're going to do it, we'll announce it on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do that. So then we can
Let's do it.
announce it. It comes out. And then when the episode comes out, we'll launch it. And the cool thing about it is the people who watch our show will know about it first.
That's right. And if you're a small business in Portland, reach out.
Yeah, reach out. I love trying new places, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So anything else about Titus other than he's just phenomenal?
Do you want to talk about Watchmen a little bit?
We did
Work
talk
it.
about Watchmen a little bit. I found it so interesting that, so for me, like when I play Bitch Puddin', the rougher my voice gets, the easier it is to play her. Now, I do understand what he meant. Like he loses his strength, you know, so he doesn't have the ability to project. And I guess not that I don't take Bitch Pudding seriously, but it's only a 30-minute episode. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't have to maintain it for that long. And there are times where I'm like hacking and coughing because I've destroyed my voice so much. That also works for Bitch Pudding. So, you know, if she just sounds like she's, oh God, I was
Do you
gonna
have
say
any
reading hard and put away wet. What?
Do you have like a concoction or anything you drink? Because I remember on the Lord of the Rings, on those behind the scenes things, Andy Serkis had made this concoction of like honey and ginger and stuff because he was doing that voice for Gollum. And he would have to drink this thing just to keep his vocal cords alive.
It's true. So basically anything warm really does do that. You know, something dehydrating is probably not good. So like coffee is probably not the best thing because it's dehydrating you. But like hot water, tea, lemon works really well. Lemon and honey, things like that. Ginger is just really good. It's basically that throat coat stuff. It's like you want something that's warm and then the honey is going to sort of stick to the sides and you have to drink it constantly. It's not like you can just drink it and then like be better for the day. You've got to pretty consistently drink it during the recording session.
So did you and Titus, you never actually worked directly together on this, right?
No, never worked together on this. And that's typically the thing with voiceover work. You know, you very rarely get to record with someone. When I did The Division, which was that the Audible movie that I did, The Division, I worked with Shannon in the room, which was super cool. That was the first time I'd ever done that. Yeah. And I loved actually working across from another actor, especially for like dramatic, emotional scenes. It really increases the believability and it just makes it easier. That's awesome. He's such a cool dude. I hope that they get another season of Bosch and then they're like, hey, Katee, you want to come on Bosch? And I'd be like, yeah, sure. That'd be awesome.
I feel like Bosch is just like, that's a staple of Amazon. They're never going to end that show.
Is it?
I mean,
I thought that's what Longmire could be.
I think it could be too, but I don't know why. I mean, maybe we need to reach out to Bezos and see if he's a Longmire fan and he'll.
I don't know. It seems to me that only the actors are the ones that want to go back for that. And every actor, it's not even just like, you know, every actor wants to go back. But anyway, let's read some comments. Cyrenik84 says Firefly is the James Dean of sci-fi. What does that mean?
It made me laugh so much.
What does he mean, Jeff?
He was gone before his time.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
You know?
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also super cool.
Yeah. Super cool. Everybody still looks back at it. You know, you can go to like every like craft fair or junk shop, whatever, and there's James Dean memorabilia there, just like at every sci-fi convention to this day. There's still Firefly stuff there. I thought it was a great observation.
You guys, sexy pictures. We opened up a can of worms on YouTube.
We did.
Dalton Com says, wait, there are people against Katee posting sexy pictures. I do not know who you are, but I will find you. Thanks, Dalton. And Ricky Hayden, 3433, when many women complain about sexy women, they are often worried their husbands will see them or similar photos and get aroused. And the last thing they want to do is deal with an aroused husband. They don't even care why. You don't want to deal with an aroused husband. Touche. This topic is so controversial, right?
Controversial.
Did you read
and
some
also,
of the comments?
I did, and also sort of self-fulfilling because some of the comments were not nice.
Well, and some of the comments were like, all right, Karen, this conversation was literally for you. biatch.
Yeah.
Like, you are who we're talking about. Just keep listening. You know what I mean?
People commenting on appearances, saying, being very judgmental about choices that Jewel makes in her life. And
someone literally said that something, and I'm paraphrasing, something along the lines of, it surprises me that women want to dress like whores and then get upset when they're treated like whores.
Yeah, that's such a horribly sad take. Anyway, be nice to women on the internet is what we're saying.
Yeah, I'm saying that, like, if you are very, very, very religious and your comment is about morality and chastity and modesty, I understand it. Like, I do. Like, it's like, I get it because it aligns with that. But if you're just like out here judging women for being someone, one of the comments was that feminism has just gotten a little too out of control in the United States.
It's such sad people. Like, what does that mean?
Right? Yeah.
Because women post pictures of themselves on the internet. That's out of control feminism.
Yeah. And then, like, you know, the whole, like, your body is only for your husband's. Yeah. I only have sex with my husband. I'm not out having sex with other people. Like, I am not.
Right.
There are not cobwebs in my vagina.
To our commenter, though, I think there is some truth to the fact that it's people getting aroused by it, which then makes them feel bad and makes them feel shameful about it, or has them feel thoughts that they don't know how to deal with. So they express that by taking it out on you.
Yeah.
Or on the women they see on the internet.
I do understand, like, porn is a problem for a lot of people.
Yeah. But
know?
This isn't porn.
Right. Exactly. But I think for a lot of people, it is one and the same.
Yeah.
Posting a sexy picture is porn to some people. And that is the separation that I don't understand. There is a huge laundry list of things you can do, you know, between posting a sexy picture of me in a bathing suit and porn. It's so high up there, you guys. There's so many things in between that it's like off the screen.
Yeah. I think the point is you can have your opinions and your thoughts, but you don't have to share them all the time.
That's sort of my feeling, is that, like, and I said this to one person, like, and they were like, you just can't handle the truth. And I'm like, no, I can handle the truth. I actually applaud the truth. What I don't tolerate, though, is people being rude for no reason.
Yeah.
If you want to tell me your opinion in a kind, thoughtful way, sure, I won't even delete your comment. I'll just be like, cool, leave that there. That's an opinion. But if you get into the derogatory name calling and verbal abuse, I don't have to put up with that. Someone literally said, Jewel is a coward. I tried to debate her on Twitter and she blocked me. And it's like,
oh my God.
Yeah, dum-dum. Like, who wants to? Yeah, because that's how I want to spend my Wednesday night, is debating some dumbass on Twitter.
Yeah, who the hell are you that she would even care?
Right? She doesn't want to debate me. She's a coward. She just blocked me. Yeah, as I would too. Like, I don't want to debate you. I don't have time, nor do I care.
Yeah,
like, I found that so interesting to me, but. Anyway,
that's
so it remains the same. So here's the deal, guys. We your comments and your opinions are so encouraged. I love it. If you get into the fighting and the verbal abuse on my feed, that's where I do step in and I say, this is not okay. You don't get to talk about people this way in a place where they will see it. If you want to go and talk shit about me someplace I'll never see it, on a forum that's called the Katee Sackhoff Hate Page, go for it. I don't care.
How'd you know I started that page?
God, Jeff.
Did somebody tell you?
I Googled myself.
Yeah. But that being said, we do also get a lot of really great positive comments. So we do. So appreciate that.
Robin told me the other day, like, and I think you should do this too, Jeff, if you have time, which you never have time, but I can't imagine you have time. Actually respond to good comments too. And I was like, oh, I need to. So I'm going to start going through and I'm going to only respond to the positive comments. I will not respond to negativity anymore. You're hearing it from my mouth. I will not respond. It hurts me. I have a hard time with it because I feel like people should be called on their like bullshit, but I won't do it anymore because that's what they want. They want me to respond. So I won't do it anymore.
Yeah. Great.
I'll just delete it. Let's get into the mail sack.
Mail sack. We're going to the mail sack. Mail sack. Why are we calling it mail sack?
'Cause it's funny. You guys, so if you want to reach out to us, send your emails to the sackhoffshow@gmail.com. There is an H in that. Don't forget. So it is literally, my mom used to say this to her 3rd grade students. You take a sack off your head. Sack off with an H in the middle.
Yeah.
So don't forget the H.
And I will admit, this is kind of my fault because we got some comments. And on the Jewel episode, and I'm sorry, Katee, on the graphic, we spelled your name wrong.
Did you really?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I didn't
It wasn't
notice.
me, though. It was the editor that did it. Not to throw the editor under the bus. I'm sorry, editor.
Is it my husband?
No. But it was my responsibility to check it, and I didn't catch it. So
It's okay. You got
My
a lot
fault.
going on. And we went to
Yes.
video, which is a lot more work.
yes.
And it happens all the time. Halloween Resurrection spelled my name wrong.
Oh,
Yeah, in the credits. Sam, he says, I just listened to your interview with Jewel State, and I think that you might get a kick out of this. The first one that I got was a Viper, and I will admit, however, that I never really decided if its call sign is Starbuck, Apollo, or Husker. I plan to eventually do a sleeve of all the ships from my favorite books, shows, and movies. That's a cool idea. My wife, who actually shares the same birthday as, I think is I share the same birthday as, likes to tease me that they're not cool. Maybe you could do me a favor and put in a good word about them. Enjoying the show, Sam. I like the idea, Sam. Tell your wife that I like the idea. I think it's super cool.
yeah. So we'll put these up on the screen for the video. But for the audio listeners, do you want to say what we're looking at?
So you guys, for people listening, it's like an arm. It says, welcome to the something universe.
It's
Welcome to the
tattoos
universe.
on Sam's arms.
And we have got, what is this? There's a Viper. There's the Millennium Falcon. There's a Cylon Raider. There's what is this? Is this the ship from Alien down
I'm not gonna
below?
help you. No, that's the Serenity from Firefly.
Oh, is that Serenity? So I've never seen Firefly.
I believe that's Serenity. Please don't come after me if I'm wrong.
And
I
then that's
believe
a TIE
is.
fighter up above. Super cool, guys. And one of the ships from Star Wars too. Like, I think that Black Shadow one that's an X-Wing. That Paul flies. Cool. I like it. I think it's awesome. Sam, your wife's going to kill me. Okay, so Roger says, fueled on by your lovely talk of 2%, of which I need not talk further, of which I count myself. I love the way that you wrote that. Very Shakespearean. That is, by the way, the funniest shit on how to start a movement with just an unhinged train of thought. Thank you, Roger. Well, anywho, Katee, come on. You know how the internet works. Of course, a Star Wars fan site already have produced 2% merch. It was given to me at a con, so it is a dear item to me. And besides, I'm a Mandalorian cosplayer too, and a 2%er. Damn it, not talking about that. So I mean, it's just a full home run. And Roger, I did read the rest of your email, but I'm gonna I looked at that as being for myself. So
this merch, did you know about this merch?
I did. Someone gave me one. They
Oh.
gave me one, but this was also in the time where I was like, not on the 2% bandwagon, because it was one of those weird things. Like, the comment was incredibly crass, it's funny as shit, and it's very much my personality, but it was crass,
Uh-huh.
and it got taken a little too far by a fan at a convention who grabbed me, and I felt really, I am still a woman, guys. Like, I mean, I can be crass and I can make jokes and I can act all tough, but like, I'm still only 5'5". Like, I'm not huge, and I can defend myself, but
Yep.
I also don't think I should be punching fans in the face. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, there's a fine line of trying to like, and this one person took it too far and I got a little freaked out. And so I stopped signing 2% on anything and stopped leaning into it. But as we've talked about on the show, I think that we should take that back.
Yeah, it's sort of an interesting counterpoint to the conversation earlier about people being judgmental online. This seems to be a fun celebration of a aspect of something that certain people might think women shouldn't talk about. But
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
nice little
And
celebration here.
someone actually, there was one comment on YouTube. I wonder if you saw this one because it actually did make a lot of sense. And it was all about Gen X and how Gen X is actually, so it's a holdover of a thought. So previous generations, really women were encouraged to be modest, and they were, feminism was like didn't even really exist. And like, women were very, very stereotypically at home, raising children, married to men. And that was the life of a woman. And a lot of women were very content with that and still are 100%. But the going outside of that was deemed slut behavior, was
Right.
deemed immoral, was all of these things outside of that. And so our parents, the baby boomers, were in that generation of women who dress provocatively. I was raised this way. You don't dress provocatively. Your skirt goes to a certain spot. You don't show skin, especially when you're younger. So it was a holdover of so my generation, Gen X, is still because we were raised by the people that were repressed and were women can't do this. And so we're still sort of trying to get out of that. And so it's the people that are still in that range, which is my age. I'm 40. So I still was raised with that was what they're trying to say. I'm paraphrasing and probably not in a very good way. But did you see that comment?
I missed that one, no. But
yeah,
makes sense. Yeah. And I guess, I don't know, I guess the point is the 2% thing, while it has its negative thing, it is sort of a celebration of something. I don't know.
it is. I think it's actually celebrating sexuality. It's celebrating, humor. It's celebrating, that if done correctly, it's not necessarily objectifying me. It's the appreciation of a character and of an actress, and looks go into that, I guess.
I do
right?
think a big aspect of it, though, is it's something that you initiated. It wasn't something that was said about you.
Right.
That would be a different tone to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we should print up 2%
Yeah.
patches as well.
We'll get some official 2%.
Yeah, because
merch.
ours can't have bo-katan on them. I'll be so sued, guys.
Yeah. This is that. If you see that, Katee has nothing to do with it. Disney, she has nothing to do with it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Also, kind of have some merch, but not really. I just got a bunch of stickers printed with a QR code on them to start giving away at conventions. I got 500 of them printed. I'm going to be at Portland Comic Con. This won't have come out. This will come out the following Tuesday. So I'm excited to let people know. We'll see how many. I wish we could find out how many people clicked on the QR code and actually it led them.
Well, I mean, if you clicked on the QR code, let us know in the comments right now.
Yeah, I'm excited. Should I start tagging places with my stickers? God, I always judged little shits when they did that.
No, I think so. I think you should just go slap it up on a stop sign and they'll have no idea who did it, Katee.
So this is that moment also, Jeffrey, where I never put my own address down or my own name when I'm having something shipped to me because I don't want people to know
Right.
where I live. Obviously. But it's literally a picture of me. It says the Sackhoff Show and it says, Kate Gadsby, and it's being delivered to my house. And I was like, obviously.
Yeah. The people at the sticker company are going to be coming over to hang out now.
They're going to hand deliver it. No, our gate is getting installed next week, so you're not going to be able to get in anymore.
Yeah, you got to get past the turret first.
Yeah, exactly. There's a moat around the house with little pugs that'll fucking kill you.
Well, are you going to be anywhere coming up?
next Saturday, the 21st, I'm going to be in Los Angeles recording a live podcast called Go Fact Yourself. Go Fact Yourself. It's a live recording of this really funny podcast where I've been on it before and I really enjoyed myself. So I'm excited to go back.
Where do they record that at?
I don't know, Jeff.
Okay.
Los Angeles. So if
it's
you're, I
funny
think it's like in the
'cause
Pasadena area, actually.
You
I think
always
it's like in
pick
the
the
Pasadena
weekends to come to LA when I'm going to be out of town.
Why does this happen?
I know. It's on purpose.
But the next convention I'm going to be at is a month from now, basically. And I will be in Cincinnati, Ohio, the 19th and the 20th. Cincinnati, Ohio, the 19th and the 20th. And then I will be in Texas, the 26th and 27th. So come out and see me at both of those conventions in October. You guys, this has been really great. Thank you for listening. Thank you for showing up, Jeff.
Sure. Anytime, Katee.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. You have to. All right, guys, we will see you next Tuesday. And until then, that's what's up.